Hey guys, Stealth here. Today we're looking at another ranked match. This is not one of mine. This one was sent in by Capion. And as you can see, he doesn't have a rank yet, so this is his first ranked game. And he wrote that he was inspired by my ranked games, insofar as you can get inspired by the recent results, that he would wanted to play ranked games as well. Now it's the same map as yesterday, so Plungin Valley, and let's see what kind of tactic he's going to bring. He has the same deck, Eurocore General, that's the same one I was using yesterday, so we're going to have a bit of a comparison between what I was using and what he's using. On the other side, we have Strava, who's already a sergeant, so he has at least played a couple matches. And by the looks of it, I'd say he's playing a US deck. No specific specialization, and I can tell that by the LVTP 7A1s being not specifically highly elite, and those being in the same deck as, on the other end, the M1A1, which you're going to see over here. So I'd say it's general US deck. I'm going to keep the viewer in the neutral position so we can see what either party is doing and how they're going to counter each other. I may switch from time to time to see who is able to see what with the reconnaissance units, but mostly it's going to be the neutral viewer. Let's see what Strava's starting out with. He seems to be having a small-ish party going towards left flank, Foxtrot. A couple of units going towards middle, one CV going to capture the zone right in front of him, which I believe is Delta. Bravo is near the end, I think. Never mind, Bravo's over there. Towards the middle he's also putting pivots, radar guided that is. A couple of LVTP 7A1s, one including small, the other ones... Yep, all small troopers. Now small troopers of course can be very diverse. They can engage infantry and vehicles alike, and they're really effective against both. The other flank, we have more LVTP 7s. These don't seem to be commanded by solely smalls. It looks like these are Marines. These are the 7A1, so they have the grenade launcher with the small guys inside. CEV there to provide a little more, well, actually a lot more punch with that HE gun. And we have a Bradley Recon, a Combat and a Pivats. Let's see what Capion's starting out with. He seems to be starting out with a couple of mechanized transports over on the left, and 113A1Gs. So these might be Grenadiers. Martyrs with presumably Deckungsgruppe. We got one recon unit inside. Towards the middle, Fuchs Milan. So he did go for the Milan version. I'm not really too sure why, because the Milan version I find to be not that much better than the base version of the Fuchs. Although you could argue that for 5 points you might as well. Because with 5 points you can buy an ATGM that has, well, I'm not going to say good accuracy, 40% isn't that good. Armor penetration is decent, but not fantastic. And I really don't think they're worth it for 5 points, but okay. 2 units of infantry inside. Looking at the veterancy, I'd say that these guys are pretty good. Might be Fallschirmjäger. 1 recon. A couple of Deckungsgruppe and a double of RP Roland 2. Now the FRP is the mechanized version, so it is the version that has at least some armor, although you don't want to expose this thing to anything bigger than an autocannon. Then on the right we have 1 Cortal and 1 recon unit, but this seems to be the real push. Celtic, Panther with ATGM infantry, so presumably Milans. Puma 330H, might be Legionnaires. I don't think that there's too many other units using this. And I don't think it's Commando Marines, judging by the veterancy. And a Gazelle Recon Cannon. So let's have a look. Considering that they are starting on this end, I'd say it's a strike package heading for Bravo. This one is going for Foxtrot, of course, and the other ones are going for Alpha. If you can capture these structures in Alpha, you have a pretty nice, let's say, holding ground for either party. If Red can get it, then they have a position where they could force a CV in. If Blue can get it, they have a very commanding position of this terrain, making it very difficult for the enemy to push up through the tree line or push up through the buildings or along the road. All the Gazelles and the Panthers are off. These things are pretty much all the same speed, 300, 310, 310. Only the Pumas are lagging behind slightly at 250. And being a helicopter force, of course they're going to be a bit faster than the mechanized troops that are coming in from red. He seems to be dropping them off early, in order not to get hit by any kind of AA. He also, yep, he does have one defense unit around his CV, one AMX-13. Cheap unit, 35 points, but can still do significant damage to helicopters. Alright, Legionnaires have been dropped off, so it was Legion 90. Towards the east we have more Legion 90 and a couple of HG Milan F3s. So this is the expensive variant. Let's see, this package cost him 25 plus 30 is 55 units per set. So that's 110 units in ATGMs and infantry there already. 330H being sent forward as a bit of a sacrificial scout. He knows that there's quite a few autocannons coming his way. The Legionnaires are also armed with ATGMs. They got the Erics. A couple of engagements on the right. Towards the middle, it seems that the Fallschirmjäger have already taken some damage and dished it out as well. You can see they expended some of their anti-tank munitions, some of their machine guns, some of their H&K G11. Although I wouldn't try and skirmish with smalls for too long, because they're really gonna kick your ass. He's pushing another cheap transport forward as a bit of an aggressive scout. Of course, it won't really see anything until it stumbles upon it, but for 5 points you can afford to lose it. A couple of super Etendars are coming in. Both of them are SAMs, which means that he was probably trying to get a hit on the M1A1. And over on the left we have a standoff battle. We have Jägers, Deckungsgruppe and the BGS. And interestingly, I think that Strava hasn't offloaded his forces here at all because he's too distracted with the battle on the other end. I think that Capion is putting up much more of a fight than Strava was expecting. Strava is also wisely putting up a recon helo over on the right flank. The left flank does not seem to have any kind of defense unit, so it is still possible to go around. But the same can be said for Capion. He doesn't have any kind of recon helo. And of course he could be splitting up the Puma 330s there, sending out one there and one there, but he's probably too busy micromanaging this end, where we are seeing quite a heavy fight. We've got the Legionnaires pulling back, even the BGS have been involved. The HGMs still have 6 missiles left, they just fired the number 7. There we go, another hit on the LVTP-7. Looks like the 7A1s have split up. CEV is now pushing forward, trying to pretty much get a one-shot on any kind of infantry that might be exposed. Legionnaires having none of that and instantly wiping out the CEV. And the Gazelle with its autocannon is actually doing a decent amount of damage against the 7A1. Unfortunately, out of weaponry, ammo is depleted. Now, nobody has scored any points yet. You can see that both parties ignored Delta and Alpha. They haven't brought a CV, they're just focusing on units. So this does seem to be an interesting tactic that they're both employing. But there is a CV on the horizon for Strava. He is bringing one in. Super Etendar Sam comes in again. Again, refuses to fire. So for some reason it may have seen the pivots, but just refused to fire. It seems that Strava is now reinforcing this position with a couple of Humvee M134s, which I believe are the grenade launcher type. Nope, that's the minigun variant. I think the Mark 19 is the Humvee with the grenade launcher. On the left, we have a bit of scouting going on with 2 LAV-25 scouts. The infantry is now being offloaded. Once again, mostly smalls and US Marines. This is definitely something that I have to start incorporating in my own decks as well. The Deckungsgruppe, the small, the AGS, stuff like that can really make a difference, and I'm not using them sufficiently. LAV-25 seems awfully distracted by transport, as the Martyr 1s easily wipe out those 2 scouts. So that knocks out the recon that he had over here. Very interesting use here, I gotta say. This is something that I haven't really noticed yet. He put BGS in the tree or under the tree, right in front of the building. And this actually works. They're still concealed, and the Deckungsgruppe have the front position. I never even saw this position. And you can probably put another unit of infantry over there if you wanted to. Of course, this does come at a price. Because if you do get engaged, either the Deckungsgruppe or the BGS, then the other one's also going to panic. Because they will think that they're taking fire. US Marines are now being walked across. I think that this is either a distraction or a misclick. Because he knows that 2 LAV-25 scouts just went down. You can probably see the martyrs, but he's still pushing his Marines forward. And these guys are not cheap, they're 30 points. The Humvee with the command unit has arrived, but apparently it did not have an order to offload queued, so it's not actually capturing the area. And Capion is also bringing in an Iltis to capture Alpha, presumably. The fight over on the right flank is still going strong, but Blue now has a couple of Leopard 1A1 recon tanks to provide fire support as well. These are actually very handy because they can provide the standoff capability against the 7A1s that the infantry really doesn't have, nor that you want the infantry to have. Heavy bomb comes in, possibly a Nighthawk? I'm not sure, it flew out too soon. There's another kill. I believe that was a 7A1. No, actually it was a Chaparral. Nice kill there. That should make a significant dent into the forces that are operating here. At least their air umbrella. The only air cover that they have left is the DAP. And of course comvats, but those are only effective against helos and not even that much. Capion CV is about to arrive. Giving him... Nope, actually... Strava has offloaded into Delta, so he got 2 points, and that's exactly when Capion parked his own CV and capped Alpha. The left flank seems pretty quiet. 7A1s seem to be tasked elsewhere. They might be going through the forest. And really the only engagement that we have at the moment is on the right flank. Legionnaires, Fallschirmjäger they took a really heavy beating here. There's not too much left. And once again, the Recon Leopard, doing a significant amount of damage. It now managed to weaken the Recon Bradley, and the Super Etendard took it out. And this is where it gets really, really tough for Red 4. Because one DAP with 4 Stingers is not really going to defend against a bunch of aircraft. So it's pretty easy for Capion to start executing airstrikes here, especially that he probably noticed that he's not actually taking any fire when he's flying aircraft over this area. Good hit from the Cortal. 1 missile goes in, no more DAP. So that's actually taking out all of his AA. And Strava is now very, very vulnerable to airstrikes. Or helicopters. Although these guys against helos, well, 1575. They're very accurate. But if you have a helicopter that has ATGMs firing at 2600 or even 2100 for rocket pods, then you can still kill these guys before they hit you. I think that Capion may have been distracted on the other end because he just lost his Legionnaires and his Crotal. And now his own air defense in this region is also pretty damn vulnerable. Everything can be subjected to airstrikes here. Talking about airstrikes, there's need some fast movers. Super Etendard SEMs, once again, ATGMs. One's flying off to the left, the other one's going straight. And no, also starting to circle. F-15D Eagle comes in. Looks like he has really had enough of this Recon Leopard. And is bringing out the heavy bombers and he gets the kill. And these, I believe, are the LVTP-7A1s that we saw all the way over on the left flank. So the left flank is really, really very weak. There's just 2 small groups in the direct line to Foxtrot, and 1 small off to the side. 1 LVTP-7, so that's just the machine gun variant, it doesn't have the grenade launcher. And that makes this position incredibly vulnerable. But this is something that I believe that you will see in ranked. You just never know where the enemy is weakest. And stuff like this, where you might be very easily capable of pushing through, is something that you're just going to completely overlook because you're busy working the right. The Nighthawk tried to go in for a drop, but got evac'd halfway. And we have another attack. This is when the Fuchs Milans are actually using those Milan missiles. LVTP-7, Marines dropped off by the LVTP-7. Hammett comes in close. I think that's a misclick by Strava. Unless he was actually trying to gift this Hammett. Or trying to use it as a suicide truck, but that's not too likely. You can see that the damage is significant. This thing caused such an explosion that the Marines instantly got panicked from the explosion. Fallschirmjäger are still not doing too well, and it looks like they're about to get even worse, as a Nighthawk comes in and nails the pretty much full health group of Fallschirmjäger there. We do have some new units coming in, a couple of Kanonen Jagdpanzers as well as Leopard 1A1s. Once again, he's using the Recon Leopards for this. Very cheap units, 30 points each. 10 rounds a minute rate of fire, decent accuracy actually, and 12 armor penetration. Don't expect these things to last long against any kind of decent tank, because they only have 5 frontal armor. But if there is no tank nearby, then these things can actually get their job done very safely and possibly save the lives of these Fallschirmjägers. That is until another airstrike comes in. And Strava really likes this aircraft and gets away with it consistently because Capion barely has any AA here. That's all of the infantry dead. The light riflemen are now using their dragons, or their super dragons, to engage the leopards. Leopards realize that they're at a disadvantage and start pulling away to increase the range, hopefully getting outside the range of the light riflemen. And the light riflemen jump building, but do they have line of sight? Yep, they do. One of them got hit. They still have 5 out of 9 missiles left, so they can keep this up for a while. In the meanwhile, the leopards still have to close the distance to actually see the target. Missile missed. Now the light rifleman on the receiving end. We're taking fire, but the leopards are going to have to put out quite a few rounds in order to actually get rid of these guys. And with his buddy just getting killed off, this leopard suddenly isn't that confident anymore. Tornado IDS comes in. Should be a very easy kill on the light rifleman and possibly also hitting the Marines, depending on how close these guys are going to get. But not really. Just the light rifleman, and thereby saving his own leopard. The middle, still very, very quiet, nothing going on there. And this M113 could just drive all the way to Delta. Once again, a fog of war. You just don't know what the enemy has. Strava is trying to find out what he has over here. He's pushing a recon vehicle forward. The recon vehicle is still getting spotted, so he knows that Capion probably has some recon over here, or possibly in that building. And while I mentioned this building at the beginning, it is of course better if you have a further position forward. So the Deckungsgruppe are pretty far forward. The Fallschirmjäger are a bit too far forward. This looks like the cry a lot meme position. But they're probably just taking cover from the napalm. They must have been in some engagement, but I didn't quite catch that. Another leopard comes in, or a leopard combination comes in. This is something I might have to add to my deck. The 2 leopard 1A1s. Over on the left, Strava has now captured the Foxtrot zone, giving him a +1. And it seems that there's already a CV on the way from Capion. He's going to send it to Bravo, and then we're going to be neutral again. But by that time, Strava will probably be at about 10 to 12 points. Fuchs goes in. There's really, really little left of the Marines. Just 8 guys, but they are getting reinforcements. Transport gets killed off. Tornado comes in. Almost does a blue-on-blue drop there. But they did hit the Marines by the looks of it. And thanks to the Leopard and the Kanonen Jagdpanzers, no more infantry. So now they can really easily push through and take full control of Bravo. And this is when I would probably started pushing a Leopard 2 forward somewhere about here to neutralize any kind of incoming vehicle. Milan comes in, gets an actual kill, on the 7A1. A couple of Black Hawks from Strava being sent in. He probably does not know about the AA umbrella. That's, well, it's not that good. Actually, Strava managed to get to 21 points. That's a bit more than I'd expected. Crotals on the back, starting to get ready to push in as well. Providing, I'd say, medium to long range AA. Except that against airplanes, they're not really going to be that effective this far back. Because a F-15 is probably going to drop here and veer off to this position where it's going to be outside the range of the Crotals. Bit of an air fight. F4F versus an F-15C Eagle. The F4F has managed to score one hit, scores another one, and hits, killing the Eagle, takes one missile in return and evacs. So that's another good air kill there. Force Recon, one Fuchs Milan, pushes forward, gets killed off by either the Bradley or the Scout, I'm not sure which one it was. And it would be nice if you could intercept those Black Hawks before they manage to drop off their infantry. The Crotals are pushing forward. Getting a lock on, 70% accuracy, there's one hit, there's two hits, helos are down. Perfect kill. That saves you from having to worry about a bit of infantry. Another aircraft coming in, another Super Itandar SCM. He really likes those. He really sends them in often. I'm not sure how many kills they've gotten, but I don't think that many. CV comes in by helicopter, presumably going towards Foxtrot, and if he can get to Foxtrot, then he can take cover in presumably this building, where from he's going to be neutralizing the zone, and putting Strava at a -1, or Capion at a +1 actually. Roland's finally doing some work, unfortunately not firing fast enough to get the kill on the Eagle. Nighthawk comes in return, presumably on a direct course to the Rolands. Rolands are not actually going to stick around for that. They're clearing datum, getting the hell out of there. There's the Nighthawk. And it fired on the last known position of those Rolands. Not a bad play, but excellent maneuvering by Capion to get his forces out of there. You do not want to be in the last known position, because if you are, then he could have lost 2 of these 50-point units, which would have immediately collapsed most of the AA umbrella that he had over the middle. Here's the Panther with the command infantry. And I still really like the look of the Panther. Unfortunately, for some reason, the landing gear does not seem to be retracted. I believe that when actually in flight, that's what the Panther would do, but it's not actually modeled in Wargame, unfortunately. Capion has a good hold over the right flank. The one thing that he doesn't seem to really have is recon over there. But with recon in this position, I think he can cover most of the area. What he does not really have an answer to, unless he's using aircraft, is that M1A1 that's slowly but steadily pushing up. Maybe, if these Cannon and Jagdpanzers manage to get enough rounds off with their heat ammunition, they will be able to kill the M1A1. But I think that the M1A1 is just here to basically park right next to the Scout. And by doing so, neutralize the threat of any incoming forces there. There we go. Capion has taken control of, or actually neutralized control of Fox. Legionnaires pushing forward. They're about to make contact with the Small. Or we're just going to see these guys run past each other and not actually meet each other. Nope. They're just moonwalking. Oh, Wargame, you never cease to amuse me. This is the French Moonwalking Legion. These guys are supposedly just parked here in order not to allow a breach from red. Panther comes in, rocket paws on the ready. And same here actually for Strava. He has no AA. The only AA unit that I can see is the one in the middle and one way in the back to defend his main command vehicle. But other than that, nothing. And it also seems that Strava, I don't know, it almost seems like he's given up. He's no longer bringing in many forces. I'm just seeing some 7s, a couple of M106 mortars. A Cobra comes in. And come to think of it, talking about AA, Capion doesn't have any AA on the left either. And they say my AA is bad. Well, in the first couple of ranked matches it was, to be fair. I'm finally doing better. A couple more Humvees are being spawned in. He really tries to get recon in. Not really sure why, because he does have a bit of recon there. You might be expecting an attack coming from this avenue. There's all the Humvees. Cobra engages the Legionnaires, kills off one squad. The Small is about to engage the Legionnaires, 3 against 10, but that doesn't mean that the Smalls can't win. Especially with backup from the Cobra there. Nighthawk comes in, circles around, seems to be called in and then just, no, I'm not going to say forgotten, but not actually pushing through for some strange reason. He may not have an interesting target. ATGM hitting the CEV, leaving it on just 1 hit point. Look at that thing. Presumably getting ready to fire the next one. There's the next missile and there's the kill. Good kill. 15 Deagle as well as the Nighthawk are coming in together. They might be trying to get a bombing run in on the presumed location for the CV. There's the HGM dead, and that's the presumed location for the CV. But Capion cleverly put his CV over on the right edge of that sector and not over on the left where you would expect it. Red is bringing in more units, but they're all recons. All of these Humvees. There's another tank coming in. But I'd say the game is, well, it's pretty much decided in favor of Capion. Mostly because he seems to have broken the spirit of Strava. Strava's no longer trying to do any attacks. He's just trying to get intel and not actually pushing forward anywhere. I mean, an attack like this, it seems a bit half-assed, really. Like he's not too sure about his attack. Rocket pods from the Panthers going in. He realizes that the enemy does not have any AA, or he just had these guys nearby who decided to use them. And I think Strava surrendered at this point. Of course, we cannot really see it. It's just flashed on the screen, but I think he surrendered. Capion wins the game. Very, very nicely played there on kills. 2,000 versus 1,000. Not too many conquest points, but it was enough. And he basically won through map control. Total victory for him. Instantly putting him at the rank of Corporal, as he mentioned. And because I didn't really follow any specific player, we're not going to really see a kill list there. Anyway, really, really well played by Capion. And once again, the guy made use of an early helicopter rush, the same that the enemy player did to me yesterday. So stuff like that really, really works. That's something I might have to incorporate in my deck as well. The capability to quickly deploy infantry somewhere, hold it, and then get ready to reinforce that position later. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on this game. How would you think that Capion could improve the units that he had? How can he improve the tactics, if at all? Because I think that he did very well. He may have been able to focus a bit more on AA, considering the amount of airstrikes he took, but I don't think that the airstrikes did that much damage overall. But I'm interested in seeing your thoughts down below in the comments. So thank you for watching. If you have a replay that you want to send in, do so through the link down in the description. And otherwise, I'll see you soon for another video.